Well, the key also is you just mentioned the word offense. If I'm Kyle, I want to be able to milk the clock this game. I don't want to score quickly. I want to have time consuming drives. I want to be more methodical about what I'm doing. Of course, the Niners have not shown a propensity to get the ball down the field vertically, so I don't see where there's going to be a deep score shot where it's going to be a one and done offensive series for the Niners, where the ball goes over the top of the defense or McCaffrey breaks an 85-yard run or Robinson Jr. hits one for 55 yards, because they have not shown that ability all year. So the best defense for the Niners is for their offense to maintain ball control. And this is a game where you want to be able to have the ball 38 to 40 minutes minimum, and have Young and all those guys, McMillan and Leggett, are on the sideline watching and cooling off, sitting on the bench.
I see. So the Niners are going to need Brock Purdy to convert on third down, stay ahead of the chains, no turnovers. I mean, big plays are nice, but they don't necessarily need him to be hyper aggressive. They need him to keep the offense on the field with long drives as much as possible.
It's about milking the clock. It wouldn't hurt the Niners also to think about taking the air out of the ball. If they would be able to run the ball with any kind of consistency. And, God, I cringe when I see them start to run outside plays, outside zone, the crack tag toss plays and things like that, because those have not been, on the whole, very efficient for the Niners thus far this year. And, I'm sure Kyle sees the statistics each week. He's got the analytics there, and he knows which runs are working the best and which runs have worked well against the Panthers in previous games by having the opponent scout report given to him. He's got to find a way to be able to take advantage of some of the weaknesses that the Niners have from a blocking perspective to be able to manufacture some yards in the run game.
It seems to me that Kyle Shanahan wants to, why does he want to run outside? His dad was the outside zone guy. He's the outside zone guy. Also, his best blockers are George Kittle and Trent Williams. So he's trying to get them at the point of attack. It's not working because Christian doesn't have the burst that he used to have to get to the edge and threaten the defense that way. Are there other blocking schemes the Niners could go to that would leverage George Kittle at the point of attack that are more downhill between the tackles' runs?
Well, they can use that. Here's the other thing I notice about the Niners. Kyle does not use what I call an insert blocking scheme with an extra offensive player that he can bring into the box prior to the snap to be able to have a downhill blocking angle to block a safety or an extra defender.
Rams do this all the time. The Rams do this all the time, right?
Great.
Yeah.
The Rams are excellent at it. A lot of other ball clubs are very good at it as well, of saying, okay, I can line my flanker up outside the tight end, but the strong safety hanging in the C gap, by the time the play happens and matures, that wide receiver cannot get down in there and root him out. But if I go to an insert blocking scheme and bring him in short motion or call him in and sat him up in the C gap as
almost like a bunch formation.
Correct. And put him in a cheat set to be able to get up inside the C gap and get heads up to block the safety. I've got a chance for now McCaffrey or Robinson Jr. to gain some extra yards.
Yeah, it seems to me that it's a dilemma of what to do with George Kittle because he's such a great player and you could put him at tight end in line in the 3-point stance and he's great at that. But if you could get him in a 2-point stance, moving around in the slot, in motion, it seems like he would even pose an even bigger threat to the defense as a receiver, and he could still be an effective blocker that way as well.
Yeah, correct. I can bring him in a 2 tight end formation and have him be the move guy and use him as a pseudo fullback and insert him as the blocker to block the strong safety. So now I got George Kittle. I can also double down with an offensive lineman, allow George to go block a linebacker because he can match up against the backer where a wide receiver won't be as efficient. But I can use George as an insert blocker, and then I can play another individual at the base tight end formation. So I'm playing 12 personnel. I don't have Juszczyk in the ball game because I'm using Kittle as the move guy who also can run routes and release inside the line of scrimmage and run crossing routes, the deep opposite routes, and let him obviously run routes against linebackers as opposed to against a safety or against a combination where he's being doubled by a safety and a linebacker. So I can make it efficient that way.
This is another reason why I feel like the Niners shouldn't play Juszczyk so much, because when he's on the field, then the ways in which you can use George Kittle are so much more limited. When they made Luke Farrell their highest paid free agent addition of the offseason, I thought the vision was to have Farrell as the inline wide tight end and which would allow George Kittle to move around and the Niners to be more flexible with the way they use him. They haven't really done a lot of that yet. It seems like a no freaking brainer. And now that we're getting into the meat of the season, be a good way to fully take advantage of George Kittle.
Yeah, I think he would be outstanding as an insert blocker in the run game. And now I can run, between the tackles more aggressively because I can afford to double team a defensive lineman to get movement at the point of attack, and then insert George in there to block the linebacker. Or if I want to base block it, I can insert George in there to block the strong safety so that McCaffrey does not have a free defender within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage when the safety fills. And so that would be an excellent concept for the Niners to utilize. And also I could get George better matchups in the passing game.
Yeah, who's a better lead blocker between the tackles, George Kittle or Kyle Juszczyk?
I'll tell you what, I don't know if it was this past week, I saw Juszczyk blocking on a goal line play, and he actually went to his knees and went down on his face to the ground, and the running back, McCaffrey, bounced off the defender Juszczyk was supposed to block, on whom he didn't block because he slid off of the guy down to the ground, and they still scored a touchdown. So I just, I know Kyle has his favorites and all that, but there comes a point in time when you need to move to the next generation of, players and concepts and utilize the players who you have who can be the most productive for you. It's a team concept. So it's no longer just about plays, but it's about players and how I can get the maximum benefit from utilizing them in a ball game.
Yeah, I mean, every team has different identities, and it seems like this team, it's very much a pass-centric team, and their best receivers are the tight end and the running back. So the more you can get those guys flexed out in motion in different areas so the defenses don't know where they're going to be and what they're going to do to stop them, the better. So Kyle, we've helped you with the running game. Now we're going to help you with the passing game. We're at the pass breakdown, the playbook breakdown segment powered by Pass Reps, where we make you smarter about football. Tom, let's get into the first play. This one is called Mixer Slider / Hank. How can the Niners use this one?
Now, see, the great thing about it, and I know, Kyle is apprehensive, and you can use this out of 13 personnel. You can use it out of 12 personnel. You can use it out of 21 personnel. And, it's a good combination to be able to get the ball out of your hands quickly. I can be in the gun or I can be under center. And I can also use a mixer with the slider and the spacing concept with 13 personnel or with 12 personnel. Or now, this is the thing about which I have a concern, especially as you go into the season, further into the opponents who you're going to be seeing down the road, is pass protection. I cannot always have my quarterback at the same depth, at the same set, at the same rhythm and throwing the ball. So this is a way to be able to get the ball in and out of your hands more quickly and be able to allow a catch and run concept. I'm surprised that they don't find a better way to use Pearsall, even in the quick game, and get him a ball rather than those, 0-yard screens and things like that. But, be able to pop him with a ball in the quick game on a slant or even from the slot on a shoot route like that and let him catch and run. If I'm not going to hold the ball long enough to allow him to go vertically, I've got to create horizontal concepts for him to be able to have a catch and run.
Yeah, what happened to the 49ers quick game? And when they had Deebo Samuel, they were always threatening those 0-yard routes. and end arounds and jet sweeps, and it seems like all that gadget stuff is gone.
Well, they don't have any. Okay, here's the bottom line. They let Debo go, but they did not. They wanted to keep the same concept, but they did not replace Debo. So and this other kid, this little punt return, kickoff return guy, who had a big return last Sunday, is not the guy who's your jet sweep guy. And so, they have not replaced Debo. And so therefore that element is gone from their game. So now they've got to manufacture other ways by which they can accomplish a short, quick pass concept and be able to, quote unquote, move the chains, so to speak, and occasionally pop a play. But, they don't have that.
I mean, they can still check the ball down to Christian McCaffrey. It's a safe play. It keeps them ahead of the chains, but they don't have that explosive element in their offense. I mean, it seemed like for a while the Niners were the most explosive team at passes that traveled behind the line of scrimmage.
They were. I tell you, I go back a couple of years ago, and I used to kid you. I used to call him Jimmy Gimmies when Garoppolo was the quarterback. He'd go through a ball game. By halftime, he'd have a couple hundred yards passing, but maybe only 80 of them or 85 of them were beyond the line of scrimmage. They all were 0 yards or minus yard passes, and his air yards were negligible because they had done everything at or behind the line of scrimmage.
That's right. It's interesting. Well, look, you just saw the breakdown. Now go test your own football IQ. Pass Reps updates weekly. It's just $1.99 a month. The link's below. Don't just watch the game. Call it. PassReps.com. Tom is putting these game plans together weekly. He puts the plays together weekly. And if you're a content creator, you're trying to talk X's and O's, it's great to have an actual visual aid to show your viewers. So, Tom, thank you for that.